In this episode, you're in for a little bit of a treat. I am going to be looking at renting my house. So I know in the last episode, we spoke to a number of estate agents to get a valuation to sell my house. Was that the best decision? Should you sell your house? Or should you rent it out? If you rent it out, you're going to get money coming in. It involves a lot of work. You're going to have to look after your tenants. You're going to have to consider stuff. So is it really that simple? The good, the bad, and the easy about renting your house. I have got a couple of conversations with some estate agents, which I'm going to let you in on. So this is going to be conversations around the topic of renting the house, what you need to think about, and how well it works out in the current climate. A lot of people are getting scared. A lot of landlords are getting scared with all the changes that are due to come in, especially around like the heightened rights for tenants. So in the past, apparently Section 21, you could get rid of your tenant if you didn't like it within like a month or something. So they're abolishing that law. There's a couple of other additional requirements for landlords to register with like the government, your council, so you can maintain it. There's extra things around. If you've not been a landlord before, you have responsibilities to make sure that the house is suitable for the people living there, safe. How much does that cost? The rent you get, is that going to be worth it? Can you increase your rent more than what's necessary? Apparently there's quite a lot of that floating around. So I basically had a chat with a couple of estate agents just as a novice. Remember, I'm making this podcast as part of my journey. So working for yourself, zulftalks.com is a podcast. I basically cover everything from my journey. So we started a business, how to basically market the business, number of different sections. If you're following along, you know about it. You can basically go to zulftalks.com and you can click on show resources, which will take you to a page where you can actually check everything. So I had buying and selling a house because that's the part of journey I'm in now. I've had money matters about savings, mortgages, interest rates, building a business guests, photography, basically my journey. So this is giving you an idea of what's going on and if you should be considering selling your house or renting your house out. I'll give you extra information there so you can actually physically go and check that out with the show notes. So as simple as putting in your name and email address and you'll get sent the link for it. And I'm hoping you find this useful because I'm sharing stuff as I'm going through this journey, which is basically a lot of people assume you know stuff. So that's why I'm thinking I want to do it this way around. So I don't really know anything about renting out my house. So I've gone to the estate agents, I spoke to them. I'm going to play you some conversation now from estate agent number one.
You're looking around that conversation. I say £1,000 we should be able to touch.
So if you use that figure as an example.
So if I was to rent it for £1,000, for example, the first month will take £500, which is 50% of the first month. And then every month from there we take 90%.
What does that
so
mean?
it would work out to £90.
Out of the rent payment. So then all I would see land in my bank account is you've taken your stuff out and I'll just get the remaining.
You get £910 rent every month. If it's £1,100, then obviously you get it.
But then is there something I can put in place where you can say to me, I can guarantee you that for X amount of time? So then what I'm trying to do is use that as an income source for my mortgage. And I give it to him and say, you know what?
We don't guarantee rents. We're not that kind of company.
Okay. So you can't do that contract with me regardless of when you get tenant in there, they'll pay you?
Yes.
Even if it's a little lower amount?
No. You know, if you go to a company that does that, if you can get you £1,000, they'll say we can get you £800, but we'll give you the money straight away.
Okay.
They give you less rent.
So in that example, say you've got a tenant and they leave. So that's that period of time I'll stop getting money from you until you find someone else.
If a tenant gives me notice today, by the time that tenant's moved out, I've already got a deposit on the house. You've probably got a layover of probably about a week or 2 weeks of downtime.
Okay.
So within that month, you're probably still getting the rental payment.
I don't have to deal with any of that.
You don't have to deal with anything at all. All you need to do is give me the keys.
Okay.
That's it. I will arrange gas certificates, electrical certificates, EPCs, any legal obligations that are required from a landlord. We'll arrange all of that. We just invoice you for it. So you don't have to do anything.
When you say invoice for me, what does that mean? Then I end up paying you that once you've done it?
Yes.
What would that all cost me? Was that within the 500 you're charging?
No,
in addition?
so that's
give me the total figure so I know exactly.
So electrical certificate lasts 5 years.
Okay.
It's a one-off. As provided that there's no No work need to be done, just for the certificate itself is £150.
Okay.
It lasts for 5 years.
Yeah.
Gas
Add this up, sorry. Just put a list of them so I got a rough idea of what we had to. So you got 500 as I'll give you as additional first.
Electrical certificate is £150 provided there's no work.
Yeah.
You got gas certificate at 60 quid.
Yeah.
That's 1 year.
Yeah.
That's 5 years.
Okay.
This is the yearly. Then you got EPC, which lasts for 10 years.
Okay.
And that's roughly around about £60 as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got a deposit registration, which is included in the setup fee, which is about 50 quid.
Okay, so put the 50 and put the 500 as well. So what's that total number then? So basically my first month's rent has gone to all of this stuff, more or less. So the 500 plus all this works out to our bags.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
You could say that. But then you're okay for the next.
Yeah, and 11 months
Few
ago.
years.
But if I put a tenant in there today, and he's there for 5 years,
Yeah, that's
I'm only charging you 9%.
Yeah.
You understand?
But that,
the only thing I'm going to come back to you on is the
These
gas
extra-
certificate every year,
yeah.
because that's a legal obligation
Yeah,
that you
that's
have to do.
Okay.
You understand? Make sure the boiler's checked.
so your fee, does that change based on anything or is that a fixed fee?
My fee's fixed.
So forever, whatever the market does?
Yes.
Okay.
And the other good thing is, if say the tenant stays there for 2 years,
Yeah.
then he moves out,
Yeah.
and you're getting £1,000, in 2 years' time the rent might, but then you can get you £1,200. It would go just like that.
Because it's in a desirable area. You know, the amount of people that walk in here
Yeah.
and say, I want a house in this area.
Yeah.
I can count on my hand how many houses I've rented in the last 10 years in this area. We don't get houses. People come, they stay, they don't go.
It'll be whatever rent is covers the refinance anyway. And then if I don't have
And it
that,
will still leave you certain.
yeah. And if the only thing, the reason I don't do this, I don't want the hassle of, tenants calling and you're going to take that off my plate. So then that's the only stopping thing that, yeah. And then if anything needs doing in the house, you would basically say, this needs doing.
So anything up to £300,
Yeah.
like I call minor repairs,
Yeah.
if a tenant calls me for minor repair, we go out, we sort the problem out,
Yeah.
and we'll tell you that this has been done.
Okay.
So it's like a socket needs to be changed.
Yeah, yeah.
I won't pick up the phone and, the socket needs to be changed.
Okay.
It's going to cost you £10.
Okay.
We'll do the job,
Yeah.
take pictures,
Yeah.
show it, document it that it's
Yeah.
done, and we'll either deduct it from the rent,
Yeah.
or we invoice you.
Okay.
Some landlords want their rent in full because they want to show it in full.
Yeah.
Some say just take it out of the rent.
Yeah.
So that was basically covering a conversation with the estate agent to say what can happen, what needs to happen, what sort of rents I could achieve for my house, which I wasn't aware of, and how much of that do I actually keep. And if I'm not a good landlord, or if I've not been a landlord before, they can manage it. So they charge you a little bit of a fee. So like out of £1,000, they'll charge you £100 and you get the £900 remainder. And they can manage all the communications with the tenant, get all the paperwork in. So that sounds like an option for me, because that way the tenant will get at least some level of service, because estate agents are used to doing that, whereas it might be totally new to me. And as I learn that over time, I can see what works and which elements I want to do and which elements I want to let the estate agent do. I also spoke to a separate estate agent. Always speak to a couple, because there may be differences that you don't know. I did prefer the second one with their approach and how they worded things, because I wanted to make sure that I was aware of all the expenses involved, because it can be expensive. I'll give you a little breakdown, which will be available in the show notes, about an example. So like a fact sheet of saying this is a predicted rent for the property. How much will you actually end up getting of that rent once you do all your stuff? You need to get all the EPC certificates, all these things. So let's say from the second estate agent, some clips, and then we'll go into wrapping up and letting you know what I think about renting out my house. Should I sell the house or should I rent the house? Let's hear from the estate agent now, the second estate agent.
So I'm thinking if I rent it, I want to rent it in a way that I don't want any involvement in it.
So you want it managed?
Yeah.
Okay. So we do offer that as well. So your usual let home is 50% plus VAT. You pay that regardless, because we have to find the tenants, we have to do the paperwork.
So 50% plus that, what does that mean?
So
Like,
that's
what?
off the rent. So let's just say you mark the property for £1,000,
Yeah.
and it goes for £1,000. Once the tenants moved in,
Yeah.
we deduct the percentage plus VAT off the rent, you can remain that. Month 2, 3, 4 onwards, if you want it managed, we look after in terms of rent chasing. Rent will come through to us and we'll pay you.
Okay.
Any issues regarding doors, lighting, plumbing, we will obviously arrange in our maintenance team. So if the tenant says, hi, I'm in housing, I've got a problem with leak, we'll say, no problem. We'll look at the problem, we'll speak to you first as the homeowner, say, oh, look, there's a problem that's been reported, this is what we'll quote, Do you want to go ahead with what we're doing, or do you want to arrange yourself?
Okay.
So we'll always consent with you first before we do any works, never before. The only thing we'll not touch is appliances such as washing machine, cooker, fridge, freezer. That's the landlord's responsibility. That's what we do. Always advise you guys, if you're going to let your property, please give it unfurnished. Try give a cooker at least. Because do all the chasing for you. Also, I don't know if you've ever let your property before, had any friends or family. But what we do as a company is, I know it's difficult, but we try to, we urge tenants to come with homeowner guarantors, just so things can change. If tenants ever fall behind in the rent, or if they leave the property before the tenancy is up, legally the homeowner guarantor have to step in. So if you're a tenant now, and you say, really, I want to go with the property, I have got a homeowner, which is my friend who's a homeowner, that's fine. We'll get all the documents from them, homeowner proof. If you go missing, or you don't pick up the phone, or you don't let us in, you don't pay the rent, we'll stop contacting you because you've ignored our calls and but we'll contact your guarantor. Friend, that's me. Hi Fareed, your family friend with has in the property, they've not responded back with the behind in rent. Fortunately, because you signed the agreement, part of that we need to start coughing up, and that's it. Legally the guarantor to step in. Because without a guarantor, it just gives landlords that worry just in case if they leave the property, you fall behind. Things, because people say to us, oh, we'll have good health, but you never know, you could lose your job, things can happen.
Is there any way we can do it where I'll say, like, oh, can you just guarantee 3-year period rent and just give me a certain amount whether you got tenants or not, that's your problem? Is there anything you do, like a plan where?
We don't really have that. With the HMO side, yeah, but with our department, there's no guaranteed rent.
How much more would I get if I do the HMO then versus like?
Put it like this, average room rent for a single occupant with bills included can range from 450 to 500. That's providing it's a double room. So when I say a double room, I mean like most of these houses you've always got one that small room.
Yeah.
That's a single room.
How much cash in hand will I get if I do the normal route for a family? You'll probably charge £1,100. If you get £1,100, take a couple hundred out for you, I'll get £1,900.
About 900, 950, yeah. Let's just say we put off 1100 start high.
Yeah. But the only thing with that is if people come in and out, then I'll have spots where there's no people renting and then I want the money. I was hoping for someone to just say, guarantee we give you this amount regardless.
Property, before a tenant moves into your property, you need to, whether it's to an agency or directly, you need to ensure you've got a valid gas safe certificate, if the property's got gas, a valid electrical certificate, and then EPC. EPC lasts 10 years. EPC stands for Energy Performance Certificate. That lasts 10 years. Your electrical can last either 3 or 5, depending which one you go for, and the gas safety 1 year.
So is there anything I need to worry about once I rent it out? Is there any big responsibility for me? Do I need any special insurance or anything, or can I just rent it and forget about it?
Insurance, I mean, that's only if you've got a lot of, because you're only giving furniture.
Yeah, I'm not giving nothing.
Normally, if it's
the least amount I need to
do
give.
advise, like if it's furniture and you've got things like your telly in there, things like that with high value, we do advise insurance, but it's something, it's not a legality, but it'd be wrong of me to say don't worry about it. It's down to your preference, but then consider this. What's in the house that's of value when you move out?
If nothing really. So only thing is a cooker, that's probably maximum £350, £400. If that.
Think about it, if you make a claim, your excess probably costs you more than the item itself.
Yeah.
So I can't say to you, look, don't go for insurance.
I'm thinking more along the lines of tenants there and they accidentally burn something down and the house gets really badly damaged. Is that something I have to worry about?
That's something you have to worry about.
Okay, so I'll have to have minimum, like at least buildings insurance or something.
That's something we advise, but again, it's not something that's necessary. But again, like you just mentioned, they do burn the house down.
Accidents
that's
happen.
Insurance, of course. If you intend to let your property out, you need to apply for the licenses via Birmingham City Council. They charge, it lasts for 5 years per property, so if you've got 5 properties, you need to get 5 licenses. I know.
Okay.
They charge, I think it's 700 or 750 per property. So you need to include all the measurements of the bedrooms and the rooms downstairs, the reception rooms, asking for your information, and requiring the license. So it gives you the license to rent the property out. I'm not entirely sure what they're doing with the data, but I've heard, it's not happened all the time, but I have heard in the case where City Council will come down to the property just to check the property's all fine, the right tenants are in there, it has got a license, but it's something we have to tell you about because it's affecting this area.
So how long does that kind of take? Is that, do you have to phone them and make an appointment? And come
online.
Oh, okay, and then someone comes out and does a survey?
No, online, you fill out the information.
Oh, it's just like a phone?
And it's not 100% whether it'll come out or not.
Okay.
That's the thing.
£700 quite a lot of money for a form, isn't it? Okay.
It's a license you have for 5 years, and it's something Birmingham City Council have a plan. So if you want to, let me write this all down.
Yeah, because then I'll end up, if I do that every 5 years, because
EPC, gas safety, Also, smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms.
Got
You need
smoke.
to ensure smoke alarm. One is downstairs landing,
Yeah.
one upstairs landing, and do you know what carbon monoxide alarm is?
Yeah, it's like the one for the one that you can't smell, like the funny one. There's a
It looks
different
like to me, when I first seen it, it looks like a Wi-Fi router.
Okay.
Monoxide detector. Something like this.
Oh yeah, we've got one of those.
Ideally next to the boiler.
Okay.
So as long as you've got them already, that's
Yeah.
fine. That can tick off anyway. Because when we go to a property before
Yeah.
we take it on,
Yeah.
we look for things. I mean, if it's not there, we advise to put it on.
Yeah, yeah.
But everything I've spoken to you about, I would have spoken to you at the property
Okay.
anyway. So gas safety, electrical safety, EPC, and selective licensing. Via what I've done here. EPC,
Yeah.
gas safety certificate, electrical certificate, selective licensing. You've already got the carbon and the smoke
Yeah.
right on here.
And on top of that, it'll just be your 500 fee for originally putting it on, and then
How much the rent is, the 50% plus
Okay.
VAT and the 10% plus VAT for the management. You've never have you? First one, I think you've not used any agent.
no.
Okay, you're the homeowner, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine. So what we normally ask for is a copy of your ID as well, just so we've got, because we need to put your landlord's information on our record.
Okay.
So if we ever need to contact you,
Yeah.
whether it's phone call, email, WhatsApp, we'll
Yeah.
contact you. So you probably get a lot of contacts from us at
Yeah.
the beginning, only because we're finding the right tenant for you. So we
Okay.
say, hi, we've got Mohammed Khan here. He works for Jaguar Land Rover. His wife works for NHS. They earn a total income of £5,000 both of them. They've got 2 children aged 5 and 10.
Yep.
They rented before. They have got homeowner guarantor. So we get an abundance of applications and stuff, but we won't forward every single one to you. Not
Okay.
because we can't be asked. It's just the fact that if half of them haven't got homeowner guarantors,
Okay.
half of them aren't in that criteria where we feel like £1,000 house and they're working part-time earning 600 restaurant benefits, affordability is not there. We're not going to waste your time and going through all the applications when we know they're not great. So only the decent ones would fall onto you, and you say to us yes or no.
Okay.
Once you say yes, we'll contact them and say, yeah, congratulations, landlord's accepted you. We take a holding fee off them, and that holding fee is an extra charge. It comes off the rent.
Okay.
That just allows us to take the property off the market, because once a landlord selects a tenant, we legally have to take it off our marketing page,
Yeah.
windows and stuff, so no one's calling for it. Within that time frame, the tenant has 7 days to provide us their documentation. So from them, we ask for adult IDs for all adults, whether they've got kids who are 18 or above. We'll ask for all adult IDs, not for children, all adult IDs. 3 months bank statements, 3 months pay slips if they're working, or 3 months benefit statement if they're claiming, and also homeowner guarantor documents. So from the homeowner guarantor, same bank statements 3 months, same income, whether they're working or claiming pension benefit, but from them we need a home ownership ID, so it's a mortgage statement or title deeds, and we'll cross-reference check that on our land registry. We can check land. So if let's just say today you're a bit funny and said I don't want to give you money, blah blah blah, and you've gone now, I'll be like to my boss, hang on, I've got a suspicious gentleman coming. I don't know if it's a homeowner, this is the address, I'll put the address in. Zulfiqar Ali, yeah, that was it.
Okay.
So I'll know who.
Yeah.
So sometimes people do come along and say, I've got a homeowner, and we'll check in the registry and it comes back as a different name or a housing association. We'll go back and say, look, you've told us your brother is a homeowner, he's come back and oh, sorry Fareed, he's renting. So they're trying to otherwise that's what we all have to cross-reference. We can't say to them, oh, you're lying, they're not a homeowner, but we just say to them, look, you've done a land check, this is why it comes back. And all these checks.
In this example, so for example, if I rent it out and someone comes in, you do all your fees and everything, they rent, they're there for 6 months, and then how long do they have to be there? Can they move out whenever they
Our
want?
minimum tenancy is 6 months.
Oh, okay.
So on month 5, my upstairs manager team will ask them, you're in your final month, do you want to vacate the property or do you wish to extend?
Okay.
If they do wish to stay, it's a month by month rolling. So if you do want to get them out, just let us know, we'll give them a 1 month notice.
But do I need to, is there any extra fees as part of like what you do for that? Or if they leave and then someone else comes in, do I have to pay that family thing again? Or
So what happens, if they, let's just say they leave the end of the tenancy, we'll let you know. They've given their notice to us, they're going to vacate on the 14th of October. Please go down to the property, check the property, give them an answer by the deposit, and we'll ask you whether you want us to remarket it again. If you do, same thing once again, 50%, only because we have to start from scratch again. We'll find a new tenant, because remember, every tenant is different, paperwork's going to be different,
but in that example,
going to be different.
will it be could it be possible that when they say I want to leave within a month, you've already got someone lined up to jump in, so I don't get like a dip in?
To be fair, you're not the first to ask this.
Okay.
Before we used to. The reason we've stopped that now is because when a tenant's in there, arranging viewings, we have to work around them. Sometimes they're not in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or things like their property or issues regarding maintenance and things like that as well. So I know where you're coming from, so you don't have that gap where you're using that rent. Believe me, I know. It works out in your favour, but we've had issues like this where we've had block viewings, tenants have said, oh no, we can't be today, we have to call the viewers again, and it just causes more headache for us.
Yeah, because I'm weighing up if it's worth me just getting rid of it and selling it or taking up this hassle.
Ideally, as soon as we know the vacate date,
Yeah.
one of the guys from upstairs management will go down to do final inventory. That's the day the keys will be handed back to us, and that's the day you will be contacted to say, look, we've had the keys back, please pop into the address. Even though you'll get photos, videos, but ideally go in there, have a look around, and give those guys an answer regarding the deposit. Once you give us the answer, and once you tell me, put it back on, and put it back on for you. So you might have a period, maybe, I'd like to think ahead, maybe worst case scenario, 4 weeks, probably be empty. But we try to aim to get new tenants in within a week or two.
Okay. Yeah, because at the moment, I've already asked about selling it. Something, is it easier for me to just take 100k cash and get my head out of it, or I'm going down this rent route to see if I'm safe? There's a couple of people on the road who have made offers to me, cash offers, but I'm thinking, is it make more sense to me not to sell it because it's hard to buy at the moment? But if I get rent out of it, if I don't have to, because my main thing was, I'm just renting it out and let me just get regular income.
What would you take cash on it?
One of them's offered me 187, one of them's offered me 182, but on the actual thing, if I put it in the market, I'll get 195 easy, because my house is slightly different to the guys's. I've got a video for you to see it, but I've got the loft space, which is not official, but we use it as storage. It's quite a lot of space. I use it as an office, so I've got both sides. Computers, I've got a big garden, I've got a garage in the back, and not many people selling on our side. If anything, they're renting because nobody wants to get rid of it. But if it's going to be £1,000 a month, and then I've got all this headache about tenants and shit, I'm not. Because I was thinking, I'm going to go to an estate agent, they can let it out, they'll say to me, okay, we're letting you out for 3 years, guaranteed you're getting 3 years worth of rent. You don't have to do anything. I'll just get that money. That was my. Well, but I wasn't expecting like all this extras because I don't really want the responsibility of.
Exactly, there's a lot of things like because especially when you've not let out before. There's a lot of these little, because these are all regulations from landlord. You need to have the electrical certificate, having it safe for the tenant, because it's not the tenant's house, it's your house.
So I don't even mind getting a little bit less, but having that peace of mind, I don't have to do anything. Do you know any of somebody who sorts this all out instead of giving me $1,000?
We can arrange it for you. So I mean, we charge for electrical certificate 110 plus VAT, gas safety £60 plus VAT, EPC 65 plus VAT. In the package, obviously you don't need smoke alarms, do you?
Yeah, no.
So explain that. So we can do EPC, gas safe, electrical, normally 250 plus VAT, but I can have a chat with them because you don't need smoke alarms. Because we do a bundle where we do EPC, gas safe, electrical, and the smoke alarms for 250 plus VAT.
But is it just a case that they come and do tick box exercise, or can they end up saying, actually, you need to do this in order to get the certificate?
So I've had a few properties where a property with the pipes, they were issued with pipes, and they're like, look, we can't go ahead and give you the certificate because you need to do some work. So I can't say to you it's going to be a pass.
Because I've been living there for a long time, and I don't know. We're happy with it.
You wouldn't think about it. You're living there. You don't have to worry about it. It's like my house. I haven't got EPCs on there, but I won't need one until I sell it or put it on rent.
Okay.
It doesn't come to our minds until we let it out or sell it.
Because realistically, if they need to do some work,
even if you do sell it, you will need an EPC and a gas safety and electrical anyway.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So you will still need a certificate whether you sell it or rent it out.
Okay.
So either way, you need to get them done whatever you decide to do.
Yeah.
Whether you want the agency to do it, because it sounds like you don't want to do anything. You just want to get your stuff out.
Yeah, because my options are sell it, get rid of it, or if it's easy enough, if I rent it out and I get that money enough.
I can arrange that for you, not a problem.
Yeah.
I can get all that arranged for you, gas safety, electrical, EPC. Whether you still rent it out or sell it, at least it's done.
Yeah.
That's one good thing.
In terms of rent-wise, what's the maximum rent you could achieve in that kind of area? Is £1,100 the most, or have you had families that are willing to pay more? Like, is there much demand, basically, is the question?
I don't want to waste your time, because I don't want to say to you, oh, don't worry, I'll get you 13. Because a lot of agencies, they'll say anything to get the key off you.
Okay.
We're not like that, we'd rather be honest. Because if I say to you 12, 30 and it's been about a month, it's for real.
Yeah.
You gave me all this talk, what's happening?
Okay.
Give me the key back, I'll go somewhere else. That's the last thing I want. I'd rather give you my word as opposed to spinning you around lies and stuff like that. So I'm going to be honest, about 1100. I'll try and maybe push for 1150, but with the parking,
There you saw two different estate agents give me a point of view from the point of renting the house, what potential things can happen, what I need to worry about, what they will cover, potential dead spots between tenants, because you could have a tenant move in and then they move out after 6 months, and the fees involved in going through that process again, listing the house up for rent again, putting it on the online portals. And that's a few different ways of looking at it. So what I've discovered is, originally I was planning to sell the house, and it seems like the current market at the moment, there's a lot of properties on for sale. And the reason I'm disheartened with that is because if I list my house, what's setting my house out apart from the other 3 or 4 similar houses listed at a similar price, unless I go in a lot cheaper? And will that work? Will I get a quick sale? Will the person buying the house be ready to move along with the mortgage? Have they got a mortgage in principle? It can take a couple of months. Would it be more sensible for me to ride out the market at the moment, to rent out my house for about a year, see what happens, and then decide if I want to sell it? Or once we get over this period of time where people are not too sure. I feel like there is a lot of demand for renting. People are being cautious, so they're renting, they're not buying. So potentially, this will give me an opportunity to see how the rental market works, what obligations I have. I'll share most of the stuff here to let you know what's going on, things I wasn't aware of. So if you're thinking about this, a lot of people don't give you this real life opinion, like what's going on. It's a lot of I've seen a lot of people do it online, and they're very investor orientated. They've got 20 HMOs and they've got 10 different this and 10 different that, and they rent out and they're all high flying, they're millionaires. I'm just a normal person, and I want to see if I can rent out a house which I want to rent out, and I'm not looking to make a business out of it. I just want to see what the process is like, things that can go wrong, how you can deal with those things, and potentially see if I can make another family happy by having a nice home that they want to live in, and giving them, making it a nice environment to live in, and doing it out with a lot of work that needs to be done if it's required, like re-laminating the floors, maybe redecorating and getting everything up to spec, doing all the checks that need to be done. It can be very expensive, so it won't be profitable. It won't be profitable. But I need to do all the maths on it. What I might do is, in the next episode, I might give you a breakdown of all the individual costs. Or if you click on the show resources, you can actually see that table there. And my main thing is, I'll get rent coming in from the person who decides to rent. That'll go to my estate agent. Let's use £1,000 as an example. So that £1,000 goes to the estate agent. Estate agent takes off £100 and pays me £900. Out of that £900, I need to pay tax on that. So I'm going to be paying 20% tax. So you're looking at about £700 that I end up actually having. Out of that £700, I need to worry about the things in the house. I currently, because I've been living in this house so long, I've never had an EPC certificate. I have to spend £60 to £100 on an EPC certificate. I need to get a gas safety certificate. I need to get an electrical certificate. And if my house is not very good EPC rated, I'll need to do the things to make it better rated, because then you need to be a minimum EPC rating to rent out your house. So it needs to be insulated in a certain amount of way. So those are a couple of costs. It costs you money to register on the government portal. That's about £700 for 5 years. So that's another cost. So taking all these costs into consideration, also the estate agent charges you another £500 initially to list the property to be rented. So already the first 2 months of rent is kind of spoken for realistically. You'll have to get home insurance for your house. Yeah, you'll have to put a little bit of contingency up aside if things go wrong. You want to at least 10% of the house value if something goes wrong in the boiler or electrics or something major goes wrong. So there's a lot of expenditure involved. The plus side of it would be potentially if it runs well and a family happy here and they settle down and they have a long-term rental agreement, then slowly that money becomes profit. And if it goes well after a year, I may consider keeping it going. If it doesn't, I may consider listing the house up and selling it. And depending on how things work out with the budget, this is the only way I'm thinking about doing this. So renting and buying, and it's a whole new arena, but it's worth considering so you can understand how it works. So these valuations that I've had to sell the house, basically they're just thinking about a figure, and they gave me a figure all the way from 175,000 all the way up to 220,000 for my house. I've seen similar properties listed at 190 and they've been listed for a month or two and they're not selling. So do I want to sell it for less than 190? Not really. So if I hold out for a little while and I do what I need to do, if I can rent it out and then decide how well that renting does after a year, and then decide if I want to continue renting or if I want to list it for sale, that will be a nice process, I think. So at the moment, the renting process is very time intensive because you need to sort it all out. If the estate agent's managing it, they can manage a lot of the communications. The tenants you get, you never know what the tenants are going to be like. So a estate agent should really be vetting them. They'll do like guarantors for them. So if they're unable to pay their rent, they have a named person that you can approach for the rent. And these little things that you don't really think about, tenancy agreements and all this stuff. So in the next episode, there'll be some sort of development. We'll either have the steps of me actually deciding to sell the house because I don't want to go through the hassle, or I'll think about renting it. And by that point, I will be able to go through some of the steps of what these certificates involve, the EPC and all this stuff, and what you actually need to do, how much it costs. So I'm thanking you for joining me on this episode. And zulftalks.com, working for yourself. The journey is, I'm working for myself. I'm self-employed. I have my own company and I want to get another house. I want to move out and I want to rent this house. It would be really good if you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. The show resources are available at zulftalks.com. You can also sign up to the mailing list there, which will allow you to get information to help you on your journey working for yourself.